So you have a podcast, The Happy Doc.
Yes.
Why did you start that?
So there's a few levels I can talk about this. So if I'm gonna go like deep down and tell you why, it comes from honestly like a place of lack. I competed as a gymnast since I was 6 years old. And I think a big part of me always wanted to be an Olympic athlete. And I was good at gymnastics. I competed in Division I school, Temple University. We did a great job. We did a lot of awesome things, but I wasn't necessarily at the top of my game on that. I didn't get as far as I wanted. So a big part of me always wanted to do something big with my life personally. And I guess that's part of my competitive nature. Don't beat me up.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that. And I always, part of it too is I just wanted to lead a happy life and a healthy life. I got interested in medicine because I wanted to, again, be a better competitive athlete. So I learned about nutrition, I learned about exercise, all those things. So fast forward a little bit, I graduated college, I'm going on to medical school, and my big goal is to lead a happy and healthy life. I want to be an example, but again, the undertone is I want to do something big. I think a big theme for me is I always want to help a lot of people.
Impact.
And I want a big impact. Millennial concept, but it's true. I really want to have a big impact.
We're actually doing something about it. So.
Yeah, and taking action, right? So, but fast forward, I go through medical school, probably the unhealthiest I've ever been in my life. Never experienced lower back pain. I experienced a whole lot of it. Stress out the wazoo. The culture of medical school, that's a whole other type of culture. Could be a whole other set of videos. But it's a tough place to be. You learn a lot of information. There's a lot of pressure on you to do well because lives are at stake, right? You want to help a lot of people. Fast forward, third year medical school, I just took my boards exams. I was having some relationship issues, I was exhausted, I was depressed, I was anxious, I was having all these emotions that I really didn't want, and all I wanted to do was be a happy, healthy person. And I wanted to share that with other people, but I knew inside I had to be the example. How can I help people if I'm not happy and healthy? This is the biggest theme in my life is you got to be the person that you're trying to
lead. Yeah,
you're trying to be the person trying to lead, exactly. So I reached out to doctors. Basically the concept was this: I had to figure out if it was possible to be a happy doctor. I didn't even know anymore. I was going on clinical rotations, seeing doctors who weren't happy, who were burnt out. I saw some really great examples. There's great doctors out there, but some of them who made me feel like, is this the field I want to go into? There's research out there saying that doctors, I think it's 46 or 48% of doctors would not recommend redoing this as a career.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
50% don't want it. Basically, 1 out of 2 doctors don't even want to go into medicine. They wouldn't have wanted to re-go into it, right? So not even just being happy, but we're talking about just.
And they probably got into it because of the same reason.
Altruistic behaviors, thoughts, want to help people. So that's a scary statistic, right? So I'm like, well, crap, these people don't want to go into it. So how do we find great examples? So that was the big part of it. So I was inspired to reach out to mentors, see if it was possible to be happy. Found doctors who I thought were doing interesting things, people I felt who were fulfilled, and reached out to them and asked them, are you a happy doctor? Why do you feel like you're a happy doctor? What does that definition mean to you? How do you find meaning in your life? And interviewing these doctors in order to understand what does it take to be a happy doctor. That was the basis. And now it's been a year and a couple months now. Initially it was something kind of for myself. I recorded it, made it into a podcast, and it's been an awesome journey. I think the biggest thing for me is every single guest provides a new perspective on what their take is on fulfillment.
What's the premise of the show?
The way I describe it to people who've never heard of it is it's on physician fulfillment and medical student fulfillment. So from the perspective of a medical student to an attending physician, which is the final point of training, being an attending physician, we figure out how they become fulfilled, and through that lens we ask them lots of questions.
Now, would you say your audience is the medical field, or could someone get immense value from it not having been in?
In the lens of fulfillment, you're gonna get a lot of good stuff from every guest, and I think it doesn't matter what field you're in. The cool thing is you're gonna connect to it more because they're doctors, right?
Yeah.
But doctors are human beings.
Are they?
Yeah, I think so. So doctors are human beings. So at the basis, a lot of it is going to revolve around stories. Like I'll give you an example of an episode we had with Dr. Kali Hussein, great guest, super inspiring. Like this episode gave me a huge perspective. She is Muslim. She wears a hijab, which is like the head garb that signifies her religion. She is a female with 6 kids. She went through like multiple pregnancies in a residency, so she had to deal with that.
Wow.
With the tremendous amount of time and training that being a doctor takes, and she's a trauma surgeon. So she's a surgeon, a female surgeon, breaking a stereotype. 6 kids, being a mom, and being a trauma surgeon, and being Muslim. You have all these stereotypes. She breaks through all of them, and you have a guest like that. And you gain perspective, like if you can break through all those barriers, you can do anything, right? So, what I take away from something like that is, if you have a dream, if you have a vision, if you have a goal, you can take action, you can build that, because she broke through all those barriers, and she's a trauma surgeon,
So my last question, 48% of doctors wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of female dancers that wouldn't recommend that?
Female dancers? Wait, what do you mean by...
Strippers!
Oh,
How many strippers wouldn't recommend that? If it's lower than the doctors, we have a cultural issue.
Oh my gosh, well that'd be a great study, right? I have no idea. But right, I mean...
That's 50%, that's all I can think of. How many strippers would recommend doing it? Would it be lower or higher than the doctors? How about you bring in an aspiring medical doctor, female dancer to your show?
So
we'll see you in the next episode.
Well, no, it's interesting we talk about that, right? Because you're bringing up a topic which, like, the medical culture, in a lot of ways, like, we wouldn't feel comfortable bringing on a guest maybe like that, right? But it'd also be very...
So what does that say about the impact that you could have by having a show that could maybe... Because, like, all right.
Think about that story.
You just said that
story.
Doctors are human.
Right.
Like, in our culture, we've almost pigeonholed it as though they're not.
Right.
Right now, obviously, if every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and whatever is done now isn't working for that field because half of them wouldn't even recommend it, well, maybe bringing a little humanity and awareness to the field would actually benefit it.
Absolutely.
That's my point of it. It's like, it almost sounds like a joke, but maybe not really.
Right. I mean, think of that example. Now, are we gonna look at that individual who does a field that like is not necessarily the culturally accepted, but now has gained the training and all those things, and this is a rising up story? How do we take something like that? It's an interesting point, and it speaks to the culture. Does it make people uncomfortable? Like, is this person accepting in our field? I think that's a even though it was like a joking kind of thing, it'd be an interesting concept. And how does our culture, how does medical culture take someone in who's a human first, but maybe takes actions that are not deemed appropriate?
What can people expect this year, 2018, from the Happy Doc podcast?
So this year is all about expansion for us. I think we have a lot of great content. We're being consistent. We have a team behind us that's really helping produce an episode consistently, usually one episode every Sunday. But now we're expanding, so we're going to make Happy Doc TV happen. We're really working on our social media game, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have a Snapchat, so we're going to be expanding in a lot of areas. So I think seeing us from many lenses, different points of view, that's what you're going to get. And you're just going to get consistently great content, because the guests we bring on are inspirational, creative, successful, but mostly the thing is fulfilled. And I think when you learn from great examples, it's going to change you and transform you.
Wow, powerful. We'll see you soon. Happy people.